A test of endurance that will take your breath away. A super athlete paddling a board for 1,500 miles straight on a journey like no other. This is no weekend warrior out on the water just for fun. It was all for a good cause to raise money to clean up the world's oceans. Peter Doocy is live in our New York City newsroom. Maybe they'll clean up the Hudson River after this guy does this.
He seemed to have no problem with it. Hey, Julie, you know how Tom Jones, the singer, has that song, It's Not Unusual? Well, you know it because it's your ringtone. But Tom Jones, the athlete, just did something pretty unusual himself. On May 13th, he left Key West, Florida, the southernmost point in the United States, for a 92-day paddleboarding adventure that just wrapped up in New York City 1,507 miles later. Now, a paddleboard is basically a big surfboard that you ride while standing and that you power and steer with an oar. And he averaged 15 nautical miles, or 16.7 road miles, barefoot on his paddleboard in the ocean every day. He took on this paddling marathon on behalf of plasticfreeoceans.org to bring awareness to massive amounts of plastic that are polluting our oceans. And environmentalists are praising his courageous effort.
We applaud Tom Jones's efforts because he is helping to raise awareness of the amount of plastic and all kinds of other trash that ends up in the ocean. And I think it's important that people understand with oceans, so much of it is out of sight and out of mind.
Jones did have a rescue crew standing by, and luckily he didn't get stuck in any floating plastic, but he did endure very hot temperatures on the East Coast, and he even encountered a few of the local inhabitants, including a shark and a gator that tried to take a bite out of his paddle.
And my paddle hit it, and I felt something move, and I saw the water displace about 10 feet. And then this is a big clamp. I felt the vibration through my paddle, and then there's just a big yank backwards. Almost pulled me right off the board, and then it was gone as fast as it came.
One of Jones's trainers once worked with Muhammad Ali and said that while Ali is the greatest athlete ever, he would have a hard time matching Tom's ultra endurance and explosive power. Really?
I couldn't take him up on that. I'm sorry, I wouldn't.
Yeah, he didn't mention you when he was talking about the ultra endurance or the explosive.
Isn't that odd? Interesting. All right, Peter Doocy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Imagine paddling the equivalent of a marathon and a half every day for 92 days straight under the searing summer sun. That's what one man did to put the spotlight on the tens of millions of tons of discarded plastic floating around in our ocean, threatening the environment and marine life. Peter Doocy met this guy, and he joins us now live from our newsroom to tell us about him. Hi, Peter.
Tom Jones, the ultra endurance athlete, just did something unusual himself. He paddleboarded 1,507 miles from Key West, Florida to New York City, traveling 15 nautical miles a day for 92 days in a row. But he wasn't just doing it to get a good workout.
I picked this because it was a water-related event, and it was also something that when people heard about it, they'd go, "Oh my gosh, why would somebody do that?" And if I can get their attention for just a few minutes, I can talk to them about the amount of plastic and debris that's in the waterway.
Jones is hoping to raise money and awareness to help clean up the Earth's oceans. His group, plasticfreeocean.org, focuses on effective ways to remove plastic and garbage from the water. Stuff like this mass, you can see these masses of trash floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There's actually one that they call Garbage Island, and it's really big. Some people think that it is actually twice the size of Texas, and there are 4 more like that, floating landfills floating all around the world. Now, luckily, Tom Jones didn't get caught up in any of those floating landfills during his 3-month-long journey, but he did come face-to-face with sharks and a gator that chomped down on his oar. After all that, I talked to him right after he stepped ashore here in Manhattan, and it didn't even seem like he was out of breath. And after completing what one of his trainers called the greatest athletic endurance performance ever, Jones was very modest. All he wanted to do was talk about his message. And if you're curious about Tom and his cause and you want more info, then check out his website, plasticfreeocean.org. Rick?
Very interesting cause. I hope he wore a lot of sunblock as well.
He had a T-shirt on when he was pulling into port, but you would hope so.
All right, Peter Doocy live for us in the newsroom. Peter, thanks.
Yeah. Check this one out now. To call him a super athlete may be an understatement. Tom Jones paddles from Key West, Florida to New York City. That's 1,500 miles, folks, under the hot, unforgiving sun. His mission, did you hear me? Clean up the world's oceans, and he was just paddling. Peter Ducey met him. And Peter, how long did it take for Jones to make this trip?
Well, it actually took him 92 days. He was on the water for about 3 months. He left on May 13th, and until this week, he was paddling 15 miles a day every day. Now, you can see the map right here. His trip began at the southernmost tip of the United States, Key West, Florida, and ended right here in Manhattan, 1,507 miles away.
Logistic nightmare, because every time that I paddled, every day was in a new area that I'd never seen before, I've never been to. I don't know what the water's like, I don't know what the wildlife's like, and you know, it's just a matter of getting in the water every day and believing in what you're doing.
He's trying to raise awareness about pollution in the oceans, specifically plastic. Teaming up with the group plasticfreeocean.org, he hopes that when people hear about his marathon paddling session, they will stop in their tracks and listen to what he has to say about the environment and big garbage patches like the one that you saw in the middle of the ocean. His group has raised about 1/3 of the money that they are aiming for, and he says that even though not everybody can help the cause by paddleboarding all the way up the eastern seaboard, they can still help by recycling and being responsible with plastic products. Kelly?
You know, what he did is not easy at all. I'm wondering, did he encounter any problem out there on the water with regards to sea creatures?
Well, first of all, the weather was very hot. His trip was smack in the middle of one of the hottest summers on record. And as for those creatures he was paddling on top of, he says he came face to face with sharks and even a gator that tried to take a big bite out of his paddle. But aside from that, he made it to Manhattan just fine. And when I talked to him about a minute after he came to shore, it didn't even seem like he was out of breath. He is a very tough guy, Kelly.
Yeah, very tough guy. Great way to lose weight, too. All right, thanks, Peter.
All right.